Hi, my name is Nick Morgan, and I'm here to discuss Power Cues, my new book published by Harvard Business Review Press. A few years ago, I worked with a CEO of a big healthcare company, and he thought he was a pretty great presenter. And about midway through the first day, he came to the terrible aha realization that he was actually only so-so. And he was shocked by that realization. He learned that he wasn't bringing his full voice to his work, to his platform speaking, and to his work in general. And that's what this book is about. It's about helping people find their full voices, helping people bring their entire selves to their work, to their communications. In my book, I outline 7 key findings that have to do with your body language and how you show up when you walk into a room. I was working with a woman a few years ago who was a consultant who had been promoted because she was very effective, very smart, and she was presenting to boards and executive teams, and suddenly she hit a brick wall. They weren't buying what she was selling. And I helped her realize she was unconsciously flirting, and that had worked well up to a point, but wasn't working at the board level. And so that first power cue that I outlined, that first key finding, is how do you show up? How do you look when you walk into the room? What's the intent, what's the emotion, what's the attitude you bring with you? Underlying that is the realization, the key realization in my book, that unconscious thinking is what guides most of our communications, our decision-making, and our influence. This book is based on 30 years of work with clients and a survey of the key neuroscience, the neuroscientific findings that relate to communications. I worked a couple of years ago with a CFO who was tone deaf. And so he wanted to bring his full presence, his full voice to his work. And what I helped him do was find that voice by putting his hand on his throat and feeling literally the vibrations in his throat, because that was the only way he could hear what his voice sounded like. So it's a combination of work with clients and the neuroscience that backs up this book. The neuroscience shows that we have this incredibly powerful unconscious mind, which by definition we're not aware of it. It can handle something like 11 million bits of information a second. Our conscious minds, the ones we're aware of, can only handle about 40 bits of information a second. And so we've evolved to let our unconscious minds rule the day. They make decisions for us. They help us engage other people and figure out what other people are up to unconsciously. And so it's the power of this unconscious mind that I explore in my new book, Power Cues. What makes this book different is that it's based on neuroscience and it's based on very personal experience. When I was 17, I bought a book for my dad for Christmas. And it was a book called Maurice by E.M. Forster, which had been embargoed for 50 years after his death because it was about his homosexuality. And when my dad opened the book, his eyes met mine for a nanosecond, and there was something in his glance that just made me realize, oh my God, my dad's gay. And he hadn't come out to anybody, he hadn't told anybody, this was his secret. He didn't come out to me for 10 years after that. And when he did, he said, I've got this difficult thing I have to tell you. And I said, Dad, I know, you're gay. He said, how did you know? And I said, that look you gave me 10 years ago at Christmas. He had no memory of it. And so I wanted to know, what is the power of body language that you can reveal a lifetime of secrecy in a glance? That's what underlies this book. I think this book is important for HR practitioners who are working with the talent, working with high potential executives or rising executives or even senior executives who have something that's getting in the way of them showing up with their full personality, with their full voice. I was just started working with an executive in the utility industry who had been valued for 30 years and promoted for 30 years because of his cool under fire, which is a very good thing in the utility industry. You don't want people to lose their cool in moments of crisis. Well, when he was promoted to his current level of SVP, suddenly people were telling him, you can't be so cool. You got to show employees you care. You care. Where's your emotion? And so it's handling those kind of growth issues and those kind of personnel issues that I think this book is most able to help HR practitioners with.